Hey, what's up guys? So last episode we discussed the possibilities of what a potential Gogeta figure might look like and what he should probably come with. Now we also talked about who he should be paired with, and that answer was pretty obvious. It's none other than the hell-raising, reality-bending villain himself. No, not that copycat Aniraza, it's Janemba. Janemba. Whether you love him, you hate him, he's pretty neato. I mean, the only other fictional character I can think of off the top of my head who shares his color scheme is Magneto. Okay, I tried there. But really, this guy is like a combination of Deborah, Frieza, and Majin Buu. And if the movie was in the same timeline as the main series, it'd probably give Goku deja vu fighting a large tubby creature who morphs into a merciless killing machine. But hey, story for another time. And say what you want, but I think out of all the characters to fight Super Saiyan 3 Goku one-on-one, his fight with Janemba definitely had the most tension. And there was no Vegeta in sight at that time either. And what's more is I think that when Vegeta did fight Janemba in Super Saiyan 2, he actually fared better against Janemba than Goku did in Super Saiyan 3. Or at least Vegeta actually figured Janemba out with his portal trickery. Alright, so now, just like Gogeta, we only have one anime appearance to base Janemba's looks on. And thankfully, for Tamashii, he doesn't wear any clothes. Wait, let me rephrase that. Fortunately, he doesn't have much variation in his outfit for them to worry about. So it goes without saying, the source material for this once again is Movie 12, Fusion Reborn. So looking at Janemba, his color scheme is relatively simple. Red and purple with some off-white shin guards and yellow eyes. With this figure though, I think it would kind of force Tamashii's hand to incorporate a little more shading, or at least vary the colors in some places for the figure to really get an accent and pop. Because if they don't, this figure's gonna come out looking blander than cheese pizza. So the interesting thing to note here is other than Beerus and Frieza, this is actually the only other character that has a tail. And yes, I'm excluding Saiyan tails because they just look completely different. And I know Tamashii is fully capable of sculpting Janemba's face as it bears a vague resemblance to the Cybermen, but it's there nonetheless. And I know they already have the parts for Janemba's torso if they don't want to do a full-on new sculpt, because if you take a look at Janemba here, his tail actually goes up into the back just like Cell's. And one thing that worries me about him though is the scale. Other than Goku, Vegeta, and Gogeta, who we never really get a height reference for, we don't know how tall Janemba is. And despite this, we do have video games in which his height can be referenced, but who knows if Tamashii even uses these as reference points in the first place. Now, one thing regarding his articulation that'd be interesting to see if they pull off well is the midsection, because his armor or his chest kind of plate thing comes down pretty low to his high hip bones. So just based on the look of it, it seemed like it'd limit some motion. But I mean, I think Tamashii's at a point where they have the technology to work around this. So I'm gonna skip ahead here because technically I'm talking about an accessory, but come on, if you don't already expect Janemba to come with a sword, you're on some next universe trip. But I wanted to say that I would really love to see Tamashii get passionate here and give the sword a deeper, darker shade of red than Janemba's body, as well as a more metallic finish to the paint. This would look sick. It'd almost be like the sword is made out of blood or something, like some kind of dark red jello-y look. Kind of creepy and morbid, but you gotta admit it suits Janemba pretty well. Another point about the sword is the hilt. Here, I want to see a deep Gengar looking purple with a slightly more matte finish than the blade, but still not as matte as the figure itself. Man, if you do this right, it would take the figure to a whole nother level. Now, there are a couple customs out there that actually look pretty decent and capture Janemba's likeness pretty well. And while I can definitely appreciate the time and effort it takes to make one of these, as I could never do it, I want to say that this is how exactly I don't want Janemba to look in terms of paint apps. More so, I'd rather see him looking like one of these. So now we finally have another character that we can have some fun with in terms of faces. I'll say it again, like always, of course we'll get the standard stern looking face, but here's where things get creative. The number one face or head they need to include is a pixelated morphing face or head. I think it'll be a little tricky to manufacture this, but if they can pull it off, it would land the figure in probably one of the best Figuarts to date. For this face, I imagine they could use a regular Janemba head, but swap the faceplate out for a face that is half normal, and the other half would be squares that project from behind the faceplate and out in front of the figure itself, just to give it that 3D pixelation effect. Now the other option would have to be an entirely different head for Janemba with segments missing in order to accomplish the pixelated effect at the front and sides of the head. They would need to attach the pixels with transparent rods similar to the ones that we find on the Kamehameha Charge Blast effect. And I think if they managed to pull this off, it'd be really dope. I mean, they could even vary up some metallic paint and matte paint on some of the squares just to make it pop that much more. So aside from these faces, I think an angry powering up face is also a must. But what do you guys think about a face for the Chow Makuhu? Forgive my pronunciation there, but I'm talking about the mouth blasts. I mean, we pretty much don't have a face for anyone else doing this yet, and it is a technique seen a few times throughout Dragon Ball Z as well. Now, rounding out the faces, aside from the ones mentioned, I think a smirking face is definitely necessary. And if they're feeling generous, they could include a scared / astonished looking kind of face just to recreate the Stardust Breaker scene as accurately as possible. But personally, I wouldn't care if they left it out because I'd probably not pose Janemba getting wrecked anyways. So we know we want a sword with this guy, and with a sword they already set the expectations with Trunks coming with a sheathed version of his sword as well. Now Janemba never wears his sword, and in fact it pretty much just appears on the ground after he roasts Goku. Now in this form it looks like a sort of purple pineapple durian thing, and to be honest, if it came down to this versus, you know, spending more of the budget on the figure in a dope pixelation effect / head, I'd much rather the head or face. I mean, let's be real. You're either going to pose Janemba with the sword or without. And can someone tell me why his sword just dries up in his hand like dried fruit? I mean, did it run out of juice or something? And why does he laugh about it after? Am I missing something? So now in terms of Energy Blast accessories, I think it'd be interesting to see something for them. So we know we want a sword with this guy, and with a sword they already set the expectations with Trunks coming with a sheathed version of his sword as well. Now Janemba never wears his sword, and in fact it pretty much just appears on the ground after he roasts Goku. I keep hammering this home, but the main accessories I think he should come with are the sword and pixelation effects. You nail that, then you nail the figure, and you got happy Janemba fans. So last time I mentioned the idea of including parts for other figures. Now hear me out on this one. We're getting a Buu Saga Vegeta, or Majin Vegeta, and we're already getting a new Goku. So what if Janemba was to come with one pair of Fusion Dance fingers for either Goku or Vegeta? Vegeta came with the other pair. What do you guys think about that? So there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed episode 2. Janemba is a sick villain, and it's really a shame he never made an appearance in the main series, but it would be difficult to fit him in there anyways. I already have the next pair in the series set up, and I think you guys would like it. And lastly, I don't know if anyone's interested in hearing my opinion on characters themselves and not just their figures, but I'm planning to do some videos like my top 5 favorite villains and such, because why not? Till then, I hope the best of your todays are the worst of your tomorrows. Peace.
Hey.